Yes, guys, make sure you're following us on Apple Podcast and Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It massively helps us out. Enjoy.
Cal, thanks for coming on, mate. Appreciate the time. We'll go through a brief run of the clubs you've been at. So, if I'm right, you've been at Palace, Colchester, and then a few other clubs, maybe slightly lower down the leagues.
Yeah, that's correct. So I joined Palace when I was like 15, 16. Going on to 17, signing my scholar. And then things didn't work out too well there. So then I left, went Colchester, spent 3 years at Colchester. And then was floating in and out of non-league. Managed to join Aldershot and signed a deal there and spent a year and a half, 2 years there. And now semi-pro. And, staying in them levels at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll get onto a bit more of that later. But so we'll go back to the start. How did you get into football, first of all? What age?
Oh, I started since as long as I can remember, like 6 years old.
Yeah.
Literally every little kid. I was playing every Saturday, every Sunday for 2 different teams. Just getting as much football in as I could. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. And that was for a local team, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Just my local team, literally 10 minutes up the road. My mates from school and that.
Yeah, nice. And obviously I know you personally, but for everyone else listening, you went through a bit of a traumatic time when you were younger, didn't you?
Yeah. It was when I was 12. Halfway through year 7, I got in a car accident. Because I say car accident, I actually got run over by a car, which is quite traumatic.
Yeah.
Gained quite a lot of injuries, 12 fractures to my head, partially blind in my left eye and partially deaf in my left ear, which is obviously not nice at such a young age, or any age anyway. That kept me out of football for about a year or so. Literally no contact with anything, and I was quite wary of coming back into it, to be fair.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, after an injury like that, you're always thinking of the worst. You don't know what's going to come from it. You don't know what could happen, if you're going to be the same, if you're going to be good, if you're even going to enjoy it as much.
Yeah, definitely. So that happened year 7. Or I'm guessing you were playing for a local team when that happened?
So literally about a year before it, I just signed my first professional team, which was Aldershot at the time. They were in League 2, and I was buzzing. 3 days a week training. Things were like getting a bit more serious. Like my mates all playing on the weekends and training like once a week and like taking it for fun, but I was taking it more serious. And that was going all well. And then that accident happened and I was out of it for a year. And I just had no contact with anything, like no contact within the club. And then when I came like back and see if the training was to start up again, I thought I'd come back and do a bit of rehab, do some stuff that the physios could help me out with. The club then folded.
No.
So Aldershot just folded, completely got rid of their academy from like their reserves down. And then they turned into Crawley Town. So then all the academy players shifted over there. And within 3 weeks of that closed down.
Oh my God, how was your luck?
Oh no, so I've come back from this accident and I've been like all over the place, like trying to get sorted. And then it just became even more of a mess. And then I had the accident at 12, and then I think when I was 14, I went on trial at AFC Wimbledon. And I managed to get in there after a long trial period. It's like the 6-week trial, that was a myth. That became 12 to 24 weeks. So I just kept getting longed out. And then luckily got a deal there. And then it became, I think it's like going into under 15s, they really want to know who the scholars are.
Yeah.
So then they give you the deals for that, and I didn't get one. So I was out of contract. I didn't know what to do. And I was just playing, like I was in goal, obviously. And then I was just playing outfield for my local team from there. I didn't know what to do. I was a bit lost. And my dad literally just said to me, I've seen this thing on advertised like on the internet, like this trial day. Like you go pay and you go trial and all like that. And there's coaches and scouts there watching. And I don't know if you remember Colin Barnes.
Yeah, Colin. I know Colin.
Yeah. he was there, and he managed. He said, gave me his number, or gave my dad his number. I was, I'll give you a call in the next couple of weeks. I've just switched and moved to Crystal Palace.
Oh, okay, and that's how Palace picked you up.
And that's how Palace picked me up. Yeah, so I done a load of private sessions with Colin, and then he kind of put me into Palace, and and then it went from there pretty much.
Nice, mate. Nice. I'll just go back to the first time you started playing football after the accident. Obviously, I know the different clubs got closed down and whatnot, but how was it like mentally dealing with that? Did you feel it affected your football at all early on?
I at the time, I felt like I was doing all right because I don't think I knew different.
Yeah.
Looking back on it now, 100% it affected me mentally, like in terms of like being a goalkeeper, being brave, coming out, spreading, going down to put the players' feet. Like I just wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
At the time, I was just brushing off, not thinking it was a problem, and then realizing a couple of years later, or even now, it was like I just didn't want it. I was scared of it, and I don't think I wanted to hit that at the time, which was tough. And that was one of the main reasons why I didn't get a deal at AFC Wimbledon.
Yeah. It's strange, isn't it? Because at the time, it's always when you look back, you do realise how much of an effect something like that can have on you. You're a bit naive to it at the time, aren't you? Like you always try and think the best of every situation, but when you look back, you can tell.
100%. Yeah, you just throw it to the back of your mind and just try not to put excuses in front of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because you want to do the best you can. So you start throwing all these negative things at the time, and it's not going to help, is it?
100%.
But so now you're looking back, you think it affected you. Do you still think it carried on maybe when you were at Palace, or do you think you sort of got over that hurdle at some stage?
I feel like I got over it and I was dealing with it a lot more, and I became a better goalie. I think being in like full time as a scholar at Palace obviously helps the levels of everything go up, from like your attitude to your training levels and your physical ability. I just feel like because Colin got me in, he had such belief in wanting me to succeed. I just don't think the other coaches were really believing in that. I mean, I joined anyway. I had two goalies who were second years anyway above me. So the chances of me playing were very slim. And I just felt like it kind of became an excuse at times for them to be like, well, he's had that happen, so maybe he's not ready yet. Which again, it becomes quite tough for you to change people's minds on something that big.
Yeah, the easy option, I suppose, is for the coaches. If you're coming from their point of view, the easy option is to, right, we've got our two older keepers. We don't want to have to try and upset them by trying to push through this young one. If they're not doing anything too bad, it's more of a risk, I suppose, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, 100%. Especially when I remember when I was at Palace, the under-18s, like they take it very seriously.
Yeah.
Their under-18 success, like really seriously. They want to do well in the league. They want to play their oldest players. They want to play like their best players in every position because they want to do well, which is completely fair enough to what they've done, and they've succeeded from that. And since I've been there, I mean, the academy's gone through the roof. Like it's improved so much, and then it's just I've seen different paths of it, especially at Colchester, and like the different views on the academy and how they use it.
Yeah, definitely. They do want to win that league and do well in them age groups, where it might be a detriment to a few of the better players who could be maybe pushed up to the 23s and first team. They might want to hold a few more back than maybe other clubs do. Yeah,
100%. That's what I've realised. Like looking back on it, like if players, they obviously they would push the players up when they had the opportunities to, but they would prioritise them under 18 Saturdays for the best team possible.
Yeah, definitely. With your accident again, what you said, what sort of physical effects did it have on you again? Like that you said lasted still to today, yeah.
So yeah, I fractured my skull in 12 different places, which is pretty mental, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm partially blind in my left eye, and I'm 60% or 70% deaf in my right ear. Obviously the fractures are all healed and my skull's all fine, but my eyesight and my hearing, that will be gone till the day I pass. Really, it's with me for life.
Yeah. So obviously, eyesight and your hearing is a big thing in any sport in life, but especially if you're going to do elite sport. So how have you had to like combat that to be able to play still?
What I found out is your hearing and your ears have a massive thing to do with your balance.
Okay.
So obviously I'm lopsided with my hearing. So when I came back, I was doing a lot of physio work privately, work on my balance, my stability, my core strength, to really try and bring it back up to the level, but also make it better than 100%, because it needed to be, because I'm already lacking in one department.
To counteract it, yeah.
Yeah, to counteract it, and really to get myself back on level to where I want to be, which was tough, especially like being 13, 14 years old. You don't want to be doing physio and
Lots
doing,
to ask.
I mean, when you get older, you realise it's probably for the best. But when you're 13, 14, you come back from school, you don't want to get your mum taking your physio and all that. It became a bit of a hassle, but obviously, like, it was the best thing. It was the best thing to do at the time, and it did pay off. I am thankful for all that. And onto the eyesight part of it. I mean, you need to see the ball if you want to catch the ball.
Yeah, one position you need to see the ball. It's a goalkeeper.
Pretty self-explanatory. But there's nothing really you can do like to help it in it, like make it any better. Like, my peripheral vision is shortened to my left side. I can't see, like, my field of, like, depth of vision is impacted as well.
Yeah.
So in terms of that translated into my goalkeeping ability, it's like, if the ball's on the right, they're attacking down my right side, I need to see where their players are in the box. I won't be able to see them if I actually have to turn my head, take my eye off the ball. You never know what can happen. Also, with the depth of vision, like field of vision, it's like when a through ball gets played, you see goalies like and ahhing, like in two minds. That is so tough for me. Like, realizing how far that ball is. Is that ball actually going to make it for me? Because I'm at a disadvantage already.
Yeah, your perception's a bit different to what's actually true.
Exactly that. So it became like a learning curve, especially like as I started getting older and realizing it was affecting me more. And people were saying, "Oh, you need to start coming out more, or you need to start realizing this a bit more." And I'm like, but I'm thinking at the time, I'm like, I'm trying. Then I'm realizing I'm at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And then I don't realize till a couple of years later that, because I was, like we said before, I'm always pushing it to the back of my mind, not trying to let it affect me.
Yeah. And I suppose as you're playing with it more and more, you can start to make these little adjustments, but it's obviously it's going to take time, like you said. Instead of just looking to the corner of your eye, you've actually got to turn your head. These little things that you have to make. Sorry, say that again.
That only really coming games. And going back to Palace, I wasn't playing any games, so I couldn't really build on them things. And obviously, you learn in training some stuff, but like every footballer knows, there's no training session that is exact like a game, and you learn through playing games and getting minutes under your belts just from knowing game related stuff.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. Well, so Palace, you signed a scholar there, and then I'm all right saying you didn't get a pro at Palace.
No, I didn't get a pro at Palace. I didn't even see out my first year as a scholar. I was training 4 days a week, and I was buzzing, like getting the train up. I was leaving at like 6:30 in the morning, my house, getting the train up from that 7 all the way into the training ground, and I loved it. Like, it was a culture change, and it was like, this is what it's like to be like a full-time footballer. And then it just kind of got the best of me, because I wasn't playing, I wasn't involved on Saturdays, like I wasn't knowing what it'd be like to play. And I was talking to Colin and the other goalie coaches, and they were saying, just wait, you'll get your opportunity. And what I found out, the two young lads in the year below me, Rowan and Jacob, were really sought after.
Yeah.
I was sandwiched between the two older ones and the two younger ones, and I just realised that it came to a point where I was like, I need to leave this place to get some games. And I spoke to Paddy McCarthy at the time, and it's probably the easiest conversation I ever had with him. Was like, I want to go play some games. I'm not playing it. He was like, well, we can easily agree on mutually terminating your contract. And I was like, all right, I guess that's probably the best thing. And he was like, okay, well, thanks for coming in. Thanks for all your effort. And it was literally a 5-minute conversation. And at 17 years old, I was like, is that it? Like, I've
Yeah, it's all just that year's just gone.
club, and then it took a 5-minute conversation to say, well, we're not needed anymore. So
I know, it's crazy. It's brutal sport, in it. And I mean, them conversations I always think are best to be short, because the longer you drag them out, you've got to be emotionless, I suppose.
The more thoughts go in your head, the more questions you ask, and then it just gets worse for you mentally. It's just not a nice place to be in.
No, and it's come to that stage with you there where you just got to be selfish. As good as it is being at Crystal Palace, a Premier League club, you have to just do what's best for you, get some game time, and you might not be too happy with the decision to leave at the time, but long term, it's probably what was best for you.
100%, yeah. Looking back on it, I wouldn't have changed a thing what I'd done by leaving, because it was the best decision I made at that time.
Yeah, definitely. So you left Palace then after that first year, and where you went to Colchester next, was it?
Yeah, so I went on trial at a couple of clubs. I went on trial at Oxford United, and then Rotherham as well. And they just didn't really like. They both offered me deals like of 2 years, another 2-year scholar. So I had to restart my scholar with the new clubs, and I was like, I mean, the offers were good, but at the time it was like it wasn't really shouting out to me. So I put them on hold, kinda. I was like, right, we'll get back to you. And then I got a message from one of the coaches at Colchester, and they was like, "Oh, do you fancy coming in and training?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll come down." And it already felt like the right decision, because my mum's side of the family live in Essex, 30 minutes from the training ground. So moving away 2.5 hours away from home, it was already okay, because my family was already there. So I went in, and it was literally towards the end of the season. Like, I was there for 2 weeks, and they offered me I finished my scholar with the work and like the BTEC with Palace, and then I'll finish the second year of it with Colchester, and then after that year I'll get a 1-year pro.
Oh, okay. So I suppose there's always that element as well where they've asked you to come in, and within 2 weeks they've liked you. You feel wanted, don't you? Regardless of the other situations, it's almost like the other ones you feel like you're nagging a bit. You're almost like, look at me, I'm good enough. Whereas a club to come in and say, we want you after 2 weeks, give you that 1-year pro, you feel wanted. You want to play there.
Yeah, and that was a feeling I don't think I ever experienced in football until then. So it was like a really good feeling, knowing that a club were like wanting me to be there so they could work with me and make me a better goalkeeper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it must be a good feeling. How did it go then? How was it at Colchester?
My first 2.5 years at Colchester were the best years of my like youth career. My second year scholar, like the group I was with, the training, the coaches I had were just brilliant. I was playing games week in, week out. I was playing all the under-18s games, and then towards the second half of that season, I was playing for the 23s and like the Premier League Cup and all of that. And for Colchester being like a League Two team, it was like, it's a big thing for them playing against teams like Fulham and your Watfords and your Premier League teams. And it was a massive jump, and I felt like I was respected in a way.
Yeah.
Or 17, 18, and we're playing you against 21-year-olds for Premier League clubs. Like, we want you to do your best. And it was just a massive change, and it was just all positive, and I really enjoyed it. And I was living up there, and they sorted everything out. They made it all a lot easier for me. And like you said, like, I just felt wanted.
Yeah.
And that was just brilliant. And then COVID hit, and then everything just went a bit downhill from there.
So you were flying. You've had the second year of your scholarship, first year of your pro. You're flying, playing all the games. Obviously, the club for really liking you. Like you said, COVID just hit. So what effect did COVID have?
So I was really, really lucky. So I never had an agent, and then I signed with an agent because my 1-year pro was coming to an end. And my agent was like, let me try and push with the director of football if we can get you another deal. I've heard they really like you, all like this. And luckily, they always do their meetings with like the players if you're going to get deals all within the same week.
Okay.
Get it all done. And I got pulled 2 weeks before. I think we played Watford, 23s game, and after that I got pulled into a room by the 23s manager, and the director of football was like, "Look, Callum, we'd really like to add another 1 year pro to you and give you another extension, pretty much." And I was buzzing, I was flying. I was like, "That is amazing. That's the best news I've heard all year. Like, I'm going to stay here for another year. I'm going to improve." And there were talks of me wanting to train with the first team, and it was like going really well. And then fast forward 2 weeks, COVID hits.
Nah.
Everyone is like, "What do we do?" No one had an idea. Everyone in football was like, "What do we do?" Until we get that message in the group chat or get told in the meeting what's going on. So then everyone had to go home because it was like full lockdown. And there was a statement put out on Twitter saying everyone that isn't got a new deal, that so everyone actually who's coming to the end of their contract is gone.
No.
Yeah. So all the 18s, first team players, 20 are running out of deals to the end of that season. Were just like, "What, we can't do it. We can't afford it. We need to save money." So
the only people who stayed at the club were the people that had either 1 year left on top of that season, or
more. Dollars would have stayed there, or your 23s who have just got deals like myself, and some first team players who had multiple year deals. And it was a real shock. And we at the time I was sat at home and I'm reading that, I'm like, does my deal count? Like, I got it 2 weeks before this. Like, is this right? Like, I signed it, all of that. And then I had one of the worst moments. I've woken up at like 10 a.m. on like a random lockdown morning, and I received a message, like an email, and it was like, "Morning, Callum. Really sorry to announce that you're leaving. We're making you leave the club." Oh. And I was like, hold on a second. So then I've called that was from the chairman, and I've called the chairman straight away, seeing that, and he hasn't picked up. And I was like, I'm panicking now. So I ran in. I told my mum and dad, I'm like, "Mum and Dad, I've just got this email." Showed them. They're like, "But you've got a contract. You've got this." And I'm like, we're all panicking, and like my heart's just sank. Then he called me back. He goes, "Callum, you've called me." I was like, "Yeah, I just got this email about saying I'm not a part of the club anymore, even though I've just signed a deal." And he goes, "Let me get back to you." 5 minutes later, he's called me back. He goes, "I'm so sorry, Callum. That was meant to go to another Callum."
No.
I swear. I was like, how can you get that so mixed up? Fuming, mate. I was like, oh, obviously I was feeling better, but I was like, you cannot do that to me.
Giving you a heart attack.
Yeah, literally horrible.
So did you said, like, obviously the people who didn't have the contracts had to leave the club. So did that still count for you then, or?
No, luckily they was like, "Look, you got your deal 2 weeks before." So I don't know how many months it was, but until we got back into to training, it was only first team going in.
Okay.
Like only first teams would go back in. Academies, it would get looked after separately. And Colchester's training ground isn't the biggest, so obviously you've got to take all your precautions with your masks, your COVID tests and all like that. So they could only do it with the first team. And I remember getting a message a week before they started from the goalie coach saying that they wanted me to come in with the first team. And
lovely.
That was the first proper time I've really spoken to the goalie coach. I've trained with them a couple of times when they needed a goalie, but nothing major. So I was like really buzzing. So I'm starting pre-season with the first team, really looking forward to it, and went in, and it was unique to say the least, because I don't think anyone apart from anyone in that year would have known how it was. Like, yeah. With the pre-season with the first team nowadays, like you've got everyone there. So it's a much better surrounding. Like, you've got everything. You've got all the canteen working. You've got all the receptionists working. You've got the whole club working as it should.
Everything that comes with being a pro footballer, you've got.
Exactly. And I was turning up, and it was like, you arrive, you pick up your kit, you go back in your car, and then it will text out the time for training. Then you'll come out your car, go train, finish training, go back in your car, go home, wash the kit, and come back tomorrow.
And for some people listening, that might just sound normal, but for a first team environment, especially, like what league were Colchester in at that point?
League Two.
League Two, yeah. So they're in League Two. That's not a normal thing for a League Two first team to be doing. You know, you're normally a lot more looked after. You've got all the different physios, sports scientists, S&C around you. But
100%.
you're going in and just getting changed in your car. It's a complete culture shock, isn't it?
Yeah, like a normal day would be you'd arrive before 9, you come in, you get changed. You come into the change rooms before 9, you get changed, you see the fizz if you needed anything, you'd go upstairs, you have breakfast, they'd have pretty much anything you could think of for breakfast. You'd have that, you chill out, you do your prehab, you go out to train, you come back in, you eat lunch, you have all this stuff to it, which makes it one of the reasons why being a pro footballer is so good. And pretty much 75% of it is just stripped away from you.
Yeah, and that's your first proper integration to the squad, and that's your first experience of it.
100%. And I feel like looking back on it, like it kind of affected with like building relationships with players in the first team as well. And being a young lad, that's quite scary going into a first team. Like you've been seeing them training, you watch them on the weekends, like they're professional footballers, and like oh, am I going to fit? Am I going to get on well with them? And it was just such minimal contact time with them. It kind of like I felt like I was a bit like still like that young lad on the side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you didn't feel properly a part of the whole squad and the team dynamic. Yeah. So you've had that little COVID shock. You've come back in. What did it look like then? Did you had the year on your contract still?
Yeah, so I had the year on my contract. I started the pre-season with the first team. It was all going really well, really enjoying it. I was lined up to play in a couple of pre-season games, and literally 2 days before the first pre-season game, I broke my finger. I broke my little finger, which back on it now it's only a little finger, but man, that I tell you that it's still broken to this day. It's healed, like I can't straighten it, I can't bend it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if the camera will see it, but like it's horrible. It's all wonky and all of that. Yeah. It's just the thing goalies have. And that was annoying. So I was lined up to play because there was 2 other first team goalies and me. We were going to play 30 minutes each for the first 2 games to build up the minutes, and then it'll go 2 45s and then 60 and 30 and then 90s. And I thought, looking forward to it, I was like, oh, I'm going to play. And that didn't happen. And I was out for a couple of weeks. Then I came back into it and was just training. So I missed out on the opportunity to show the managers what I could do.
Yeah.
Like first team. So then it was just training all week. And I was speaking to him, I was like, because there's no 23s really at the moment, because it's just the first team, there's no 23s games to play games. All non-league is shut off as well to go on loan. So I was literally just training and then being on like the third choice goalie, or if I was on the bench for the first team. And it was just like that pretty much for about 6-7 months straight.
Yeah, and you're left with literally no game time, and it's not like you said with Palace earlier, it's not like you can leave to get that somewhere else. You've got no option to play games really.
Yeah, it was tough, and I mean, I enjoyed being with the first team because I felt like the longer I was doing it, like I felt more accustomed to it, and I felt more like involved, and like it felt normal. It felt like where I should be. Then the 23s came back. You're allowed to. And then their league came back, so I was playing. I was dibbling and dabbling with games there, but like it became like so normal for the first team to be like, right, Cal, you're with us training today, so like you can't play on that 23s game. And I'm like, oh, but like I want to at least get games in, and they're like, we need you. And it'd be like, I think you'll know, and I don't think most footballers will know that on a Saturday, like a Monday or a Sunday session, they're like the recovery session. So the players that haven't played will doing like a short, sharp session, just getting a little minutes and running in their legs. And I'd always be doing that. And for a goalie, like I'm just getting shots at me. Like I playing the 23s game, getting some experience, and I was just doing I was just doing like the recovery sessions, and it became a bit like after a while, it just became a bit demoralising. Like I just wanted to get out and play, and that's the main thing with that COVID season that really killed me.
Yeah, because you're not doing either or. You're not playing with the first team. You're training with them, and then you're not even playing the matches with the 23s. So you're sort of like stuck between what do I do here?
Yeah, exactly.
But with that season, did you come to the end of your contract? Did they offer you another one after that first year?
I was asking the question all year, not all year, probably like the last 3-4 months of the season. because things were starting to become normal and other clubs were like non-league was starting to open up, and all the other League Two and League One and teams above were back open, obviously. And I was like, look, if I'm not going to get a deal, like at least give me some time whilst I can go towards the end of the season to a club and trial, or be like an option to go in and see if they want to take me in. And they were like, right, no, got to wait to the end of the season, And them last 3 months just dragged out for me. I've probably played like 5 games in the last like 3 months of my contract there. And I remember we played Tranmere away. I was on the bench, first team, and then that was the season done. And then everyone who was out of contract had to come back into the training ground on Tuesday and have that conversation. Which is, looking back on it, I disagree with the way they've done it, because like just do it before the season's end. Like I've finished the season, I've gone home, then I've packed my stuff up from my digs in Colchester to go home. Got to come all the way back up here for a meeting that I could either have on the phone or have done weeks before.
A bit of planning that could have been done a lot better for both parties.
Exactly. And then I went to that meeting as director of football, head of recruitment, and as soon as I walked in there, I kind of knew what was coming. I wasn't really expecting too much, just because of how the season panned out. They just pretty much said, look, we're not in a place to offer you a contract at the moment. So that really is it.
Yeah, and like you said, the last few months you sort of half expected it. So you've had that meeting. I can imagine at that time, with the finances after COVID for all these, especially like the lower league teams, what was it like trying to find another club after that?
I mean, it was tough. I mean, like the season completely finished, so I had nowhere to go train. I had to wait a couple of weeks. Your agent is telling you that I can't message them right now. They want to. The managers and other teams want to have their breaks, so got to wait 2 weeks. And I'm just itching to try and find somewhere to go.
Yeah.
And then that time, and I'm waiting, and I'm still waiting. I've got nothing coming on, and it's like, what am I doing? Like right now, I've had a structure of, for the past 3 years of my life, it's like a structure of finish season, rest, pre-season, and then going into pre-season, like your off-season programs, all like that. And I've just got nothing. Tough, and like mentally, it was challenging. Like realizing that you've just been basically like thrown out onto the main road, and it's like, deal with it now.
Yeah, for me as well. That's how it just does not make sense why you cannot get that decision free just after Christmas. If they would have it in their mind what they were going to do, give you that decision as early as possible to allow you to go train at these other clubs and go trial at these different clubs before the season ends.
Yeah, and the worst thing was, it's like we were getting trialists in as well, like we were bringing in trialists who have just been released from other clubs. It just felt like we were the only club not doing it, and looking back on it does anger me, because it could have gone so differently.
Yeah, it's the politics of football, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I say the beginning, like the first 2 and a bit years of Colchester were most enjoyable. The last year kind of really killed my vibe about the whole place.
Yeah, of course, I can imagine. It's it sounds like a mentally tough journey, to say the least. But after that season, then, so what? Obviously, you couldn't off-season. You couldn't look for another club. You couldn't seek to find where you're playing next. But what did you find another club?
Yeah, so luckily, my agent got in contact with Bromley, and I went in there and done pre-season with them. And pre-season was going all well. Was looking forward to playing games. I played a couple pre-season games with them. It was going all well, and then I go and have a minor tear in my quad in training.
Oh my God, another one.
So it always comes pre-season for me at the moment, which is just frustrating. So Bromley were really good, because I wasn't signed there anyway. I was just coming in trialing.
Yeah.
Looked after me, to be fair. The goalie coach and the physio were top notch, and they did look after me and tried their best. And they were pushing and saying to the gaffer, like, look, I know he's injured, but like, look, keep him around. And the gaffer, Andy Woodman, was like, yeah, we'll keep him around, but like right now it's like end of pre-season, seen him in a game. Like, I call on that. He hasn't got a CV of games either. Like, I haven't had games before, and like I'll probably get played about 8 to 15 games in the past year before. Like, it's just not enough for someone to trust me.
Yeah, for them managers as well. Like, it's if they start losing games, especially like the lower down you go, if they start losing games and they're seen to be putting probably, I don't know how old you were at the time, but like an early 20s, 20-year-old in goal and losing games when they've got an experienced keeper on the bench, they're probably going to get the sack. So they've got to cover their own backs as well, haven't they? Really?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you as I found out, it's a results-driven business.
Yeah.
And people are gonna put it's people's jobs, it's their livelihoods. Like, they're not going to risk it for what you think at the time is my career, but they're not going to risk their job by trying to do something that they can't fully trust at the time, which is completely understandable. So Bromley I was driving every day to Bromley as well, which is about an hour and 20, hour and a half, with like school runs as well on the way in traffic. So that doesn't help. And it got to a point where I said to the goalie coach, like, look, nothing, this is financially killing me. Like, I'm filling my car up nearly twice a week, costing like 80 quid on petrol, 160 quid on petrol a week, pretty much, to come in and train. I mean, look after me, but I just can't carry that on if I'm not getting reimbursed.
Of course, yeah.
So then nothing came from Bromley. And then I pretty much, after that, I was going to the gym, and I was just, I don't know if I can be bothered anymore.
It's just hit after hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just no after no after no, and I was like, I really don't know if I can be bothered with another like rejection or even trying. And I went to the gym and I came back and I was just like, mentally, I was just drained. And then I got a call from a random number, and I picked it up, and it was coaches at Aldershot Town, and he was like, is this Callum? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, I'm one of the coaches at Aldershot. You're yet to find a club. Would you want to come in and train? And I was like, right, for me, that's like ideal. Aldershot's 10 minutes away from me. It's full time. It's National League, which is the league below Colchester. I was like, right, this is perfect. So it's got an all-time low to right back up to the top again. It was like swings and roundabouts. I was like, oh my god. I went in and trained with them, and it literally, it's like we went back, like talking about Colchester feeling wanted. It took them 2 days, and I've got offered a contract.
At Aldershot.
At Aldershot, yeah.
So that's perfect, mate. It just shows you, didn't it? Like, you could feel you never know what's around the corner. It can change so quickly in football, can't it? And like you said, you're at your lowest point, and then all of a sudden, one phone call and it's taking you right back up to, in terms of your mindset and how you're feeling, right back up to the top.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, like, the football industry is mental anyway. And being in it, like, and and the emotion, like, it is tough, and it does really mature you, like, beyond your years as well. Like, that's all happened before I was 21.
Yeah.
Like some of that stuff doesn't even happen to most people that aren't in football, like, till they're like 30 odd. So yeah, it was like, but it all came together, and it felt like the right thing going to Aldershot, because it was back at home, so I can live at home.
Yeah.
They were helping me out. Obviously, I got signed a contract there. And then, like, it just was the perfect thing to happen.
Yeah. So yeah, and just going back on what you said, is if you take any other business, any other line of work, what other line of work are you going to change jobs almost? Like, you can change jobs almost every year, maybe twice in 1 year. Don't know what you're doing. You don't know what the future is in terms of, am I actually going to be able to work and stuff like that. It's just, and like rejection after rejection, then you're back on a high, back on a low. You don't get that in any other line of work other than sport.
There is nothing in the world that I know of that is like the line of football.
Nah.
It is so cutthroat and ruthless. Young players, or even the players that, like, just think they have it all, and then it just, like, the floor just gets taken away from them, and it's just like, it is cutthroat.
It is, mate. It's very ruthless. So you signed at Aldershot. Is that where you're at now?
No, so I left Aldershot last season. It became again another emotional roller coaster. It became a bit a lie after a lie, and it kind of just kept going on from me, director of football, to me. Like when I joined, they wanted me to be second choice, and I was happy with that. I'll learn. I'll show my worth. I'll show how good I am for them to build trust. It was going all right, and Aldershot were going through quite a tough spell, losing a couple of games after one after the other. And I had a meeting with the gaffer, and I was like, look, any chance I can play? Like, there's an FA Trophy game coming up, or there's an FA Cup game coming up against a lower league opposition. Is there a chance to play to prove what I can do to maybe even start in the league, know what we can do? And he was like, yeah, I'll have a think about it. FA Cup, we played a team called Bowes and Pitsea, who was step 3 at the time, 2 leagues below Aldershot. We ended up losing that game 2-1. I didn't play, which I was frustrated about. I was on the bench for it, and it was just like, why? I could have played. If we lost, I blame it on me. Like, I'm the young goalie, but we didn't, and we played a pretty full strength team at the time. It backfired. After that game, I had another meeting with him. I said, look, like, we're on a bad spell of runs. Like, why don't you just change it up and just see like what I can make a difference, if not. And he was like, no, we can't take out our goalie. He's one of our most experienced players in the back line. Like, I feel like I can't do that. I was like, okay, no worries. I come into training the very day, and they've goalie on loan.
They've sent him on loan?
No, they signed another goalie to bring in on loan.
Oh my God.
And
I was barefaced lied to you, really, isn't it?
I was stood there and I'm like, what? Why? Yesterday that you were getting a loan in? Like, I was just like, right, okay, and that just became a spiral of lies, and I had multiple troubles with loans because I would get loaned out to play non-league football to get games. I'd get called back because they want me to sit on the bench. I wouldn't get run of games, and then it came to a point where I was like, I wasn't earning massive amounts of money there, and they said to me one meeting, like, Cal, you're going to need to find a loan, otherwise you need to terminate your contract because we need to save your funds. Like, I was like, you need me to find myself a loan, or you're going to help me? He goes, well, we've tried, but they're a bit too far away for you. Because I said, like, I'm not going to loan down like to clubs down in Southampton at like step 4 level. Like, it's just not, like, I'm better than that.
Worth it.
Too far. Yeah, it's not worth it. So I was like, right. He goes, you can't. And I was like, you can't find anyone around here. And I was like, no. I was like, cool. All right. I was on the phone to 5 or 6 goalie coaches that I know and a couple of goalkeepers that I know. For an hour, I had 4 loan offers in from step 4 teams in my area.
So it comes back to that thing where it's like, oh, you feel wanted at certain clubs, and other clubs you just feel like you're just a spare part. Yeah,
it was just like, it was just so frustrating, and it became a point like I needed to take myself out of the situation, like that Palace thing. I needed to take myself out of that because it was just killing me.
Yeah.
So yeah, then that happened, and I kind of just fell into like the non-league circle really from there, like step 3 football, and then yeah, that doesn't get any better, I tell you that. The story. Oh, no,
I can imagine.
Yeah, the any line of football from whatever level, mate, there is so many stories and things that go on in that.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
So that's where you're at now, non-league, yeah.
Yeah.
So what? Am I right in saying you do a bit of coaching as well?
Yeah, that's correct. My mate started a goalkeeper coaching business about 3 years ago now, and I've been working with him for the past 2.
Okay.
And yeah, mate, to be fair, it is one of the best jobs you can ask for. I don't even class it as a job.
Yeah.
Because you like sure you feel doing coaching the same. You've been doing football your whole life, doing it for however long, an hour, 2 hours, like helping like the younger kids wanting to be in your position is like it's one of the most enjoyable / easiest things to do.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to just stay in the game you love as well, and you're always going to enjoy doing something to do with the game you love.
100%.
So you're doing the coaching and you're around the non-league scene. But so what are your plans now? Is it to sort of try and build back up with the football, try and climb up the levels again while maintaining the coaching, or?
So being in the non-league, it's so easy to lose structure and schedule. From like I said, being in the pro system, you have everything given to you.
Yeah.
Like your times, your food, your everything you can ask. When you're in non-league, it's all down to yourself. So they only train 2 nights a week. So I'm trying to find places that I go and train. Luckily, I've got I've managed to sort out a place in at Dorking to go in and train Dorking Wanderers, which is the National League as well. So I go in and train there twice a week. I go in and try to look after myself, because from going from 4 or 5 days training a week to 2, like your levels are just going to drop. You need to keep your level as high as you can if you want to push that goal. Ideally, I do want to still play at the highest level I can possible. It's just I'm having to take the longer route to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And credit to you to still sticking at it, and still after all these ups and downs to still have that end goal and that focus and motivation to keep striving for more.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It is tough, and even without everything I've gone through, like just the whole football system is just tough in general. Like that there's like that silly numbers like 0.001% actually make it is like, you think that's a bit of a myth, but it's tough. It's true.
Yeah, it's I think the most ruthless and probably the hardest business and sport to make it to the top. Every kid wants to be a footballer, don't they?
Yeah, there's so much competition from everywhere around the world. Like nowadays you get like these like academies getting kids in from abroad to play in England, and like you don't just get like the local anymore. You've got the whole world wanting to try be in your shoes.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy, but it makes it more rewarding once you get there, I suppose. And nothing good ever comes easy.
Oh, exactly, mate. And I'll forever be grateful for signing like my first pro contract, being on the bench for the first in front of like 4,000 or 5,000 fans, 10,000 fans. Like it's feeling that it is unmatched, and like it really makes you crave for more, and really makes you strive to get to the level where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to challenge in front of you. If something's too easy to get to, or you know what I mean, you want to work hard for something, and know regardless of whether you get there or you don't, at least that's the fun part, isn't it? That having that goal and having that waking up every day trying to work towards something. That's what you need.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like what enticed me in so much as I got older is like the lifestyle of being a professional footballer. Like it's like we say, it's like no other job. Like what job pays very well for you to wake up, get into at 9 o'clock, and then leave?
Yeah, exactly.
like you have no, like there's such a lifestyle custom, and it becomes so normal to what that could what that is, and it becomes like some people take it for granted when they're there because they think every other job's going to be like that.
Yeah, exactly. 100%, mate. 100%. We'll go off your career now. I just wanted to have a little chat about. Obviously, you're a goalkeeper. I'll just have a little casual chat about Premier League teams you support, favourite keepers, and stuff like that. So, what? Go on. I see you've got what you got on there. Liverpool. Is that Liverpool?
United.
Oh god. Yeah, you're a United fan.
Pardon?
Are you a United fan?
Yeah, big. Lifetime United fan. Came from my dad. So.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So, obviously you're a keeper, United fan. What do you think of Onana?
I love Onana, and what I feel like what he's done like in this very short time, I feel like it's improved United. It's going to be a change anyway. Like De Gea and him are like the polar opposites of goalkeepers. It's just going to take time for people to realise that he is going to be beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. He's gonna, again, the style of play he has. He's gonna have them mistakes creep in, maybe more often than De Gea at the start, but it will pay dividends in the long run, I think.
100%. And I see a lot of people saying that Onana's not as good as shot stopping. I was like, well, we've had one of the best shot stopping goalkeepers ever. Like, some goals that we expect to have are not like, but it counteracts because his playing ability is one of the best in the world at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost like that's the trendy thing to do with a keeper now, having players an extra outfield player. So done well there. So it's international break now.
Yeah.
Who would you have as your 3 England goalkeepers? I was curious to know this because there's some spaces up for grabs. I think we've got about 4 or 5 who could all be in there.
It is a tough spot, and it's always a talking point when it comes to England. Always is a talking point because no one rates Jordan Pickford until he's played for England.
It's mad, isn't it? I've always said it. I think he's a cup sort of player. His mentality, like he thrives more in these cup competitions.
And I feel like it's for like other players as well. They just play so much better for England. I don't know if it's the style of play or the occasion playing for England, but it is. But Pickford has to be I feel like Pickford has to be number 1.
For you, yeah.
Yeah, Pickford has to be number 1 for England. Ramsdale second. I think I don't know how old Pickford is now, but I think Ramsdale is going to take the glove when Pickford does not get the nod. And then the third choice is up for grabs. Really, like, I mean, you got young keepers like James Trafford playing for Burnley now, like,
yeah,
heroics for I think it was it the 21s or 20s World Cup or whatever.
21s, yeah, I think, yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
But then,
I think go on, mate.
I was going to say, but then you got Nick Pope as well, like, who's an unbelievable goalie. Just doesn't suit England.
No, he don't at all.
So
I think Pickford at the moment, you can't argue with him not being the number 1. But I do think Ramsdale's a better keeper. So whether it's for them two, I'd definitely say 1 and 2. And then I'd have Pope. He's struggled a bit this season, I think, with Newcastle. Did you see his he had a few mistakes against Brighton, wasn't it? Looks a bit shy of confidence. And then Dean Henderson's just been bought by Palace. So if he starts getting a run of games, I think Dean Henderson could be in with a shout.
Sam Johnston's just been picked, isn't he, as the third?
Yeah.
And is he still at Palace?
He's playing at the moment, yeah. But Palace spent what, 20 odd mil on Henderson. I can't see them spending that for their second choice.
No, I mean it would be weird if they don't play him.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't watch too much of Palace, but what I've heard and seen, I don't think Sam Johnston has been doing poorly.
No, he ain't.
So, like, it's a weird. It's like Arsenal buying David Raya on loan. Like,
yeah.
It's a weird one, mate. What clubs are trying to do with goalies? It's like what everyone's trying to copy Pep by having 2 world-class goalies like in the squad. It's like it don't make sense, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know who. It would make sense if Dean Henderson goes straight into Palace. To be fair, and I do like him, but he was at United. He was a bit cocky, so I fell out of him.
Yeah. Would you go on? Last little bit. What do you think of United this season? Where do you think they're finishing?
If you ask me this, yeah, before the first game we see an easy top 4, like second or third, like we are challenging, like we're getting stronger. But then I'm watching them games against Wolves and Spurs, and I'm like, oh my, this is just
not gelling as much, is it?
I was just like, I had so much energy about this season because of the signings we've made, and it's just really like demoralising. I'm like, how on earth have we gone from like big up, like challenging, and then we're not even like beating Wolves comfortably at home, and we're going 2-0 down against Forest. I know we won, but like going 2-0 down against Forest, like it's just rubbish. But I feel like we will get top 4. I can't tell you where. We will creep in, but I feel like last week was our best performance, even though we lost again. I feel like it was performance. I am biased. We were robbed. But yeah, it's looking positive. To be fair, I mean the way Onana's playing, the way we're getting used to it, it's just squad, mate. Like you can't bring on Maguire and Everton. And
oh mate, yeah, I know. I'm actually shocked they were both on the same pitch at the same time.
Yeah, it was just I honestly I would rather Scott McTominay play centre half than Johnny Evans. Or Maguire, mate. Like just either of them. Like I don't understand it. But we shot ourselves in the foot, and we deserve to lose after making. And it's been a similar trend with Eric Ten Hag. His subs have either done really well or been rock bottom and not helped us at all.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? It is funny. I almost feel like you'd almost be better not having that off season because it just killed any sort of momentum you had.
Yeah, 100%.
You've got to build it back up, didn't you, again?
Yeah. We were on a roll. We were playing good football, and it was just working. But yeah, like we said, we can't have a season going on forever, can we?
Right. Well, listen, Carl, I think we'll leave it there.
Sweet, mate.
I appreciate you coming on and telling that story as well.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, mate. I don't mind speaking about it, and it also gives other people a different view on different aspects in the football world as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's the highs and the lows. So I appreciate it, mate.
So yeah, no, my pleasure, mate. Good seeing you as well.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Yes, guys, thanks for watching this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, could you please follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel? It massively helps us out.